Planning your destination wedding and not sure if you want to have a symbolic or a legal wedding or don't even know the difference? Hold on and we'll talk about that. Okay, there are two main types of weddings when you have a destination wedding. One is symbolic and one is legal. So in this video, I want to talk about symbolic destination weddings. Now, what I will tell you is we as vacationees, about 99% of our weddings are symbolic destination weddings. I've talked to 3 or 4 resorts over the past couple of days, and they tell me between 90 to 95% of their weddings are symbolic. So now you're saying, okay, Jack, so tell me what a symbolic wedding is. Okay, so let's talk about that. Now, a symbolic wedding is just that. It is not legal. I know that doesn't really answer your questions. So a symbolic wedding is you go to the resort, people think you're getting married in front of them, and you have your wedding. Now, here's the thing. You can go and have a symbolic wedding and come back to the United States, but no one in the United States is going to recognize that wedding because it is just that symbolic. Now let's talk about the reasons, my top, say, 3 or 4 reasons to have a symbolic wedding and some of the points in that. Now, my first reason for a symbolic wedding is they are much easier to do. So here's what you do. Before you leave wherever you live, you legally get married. Now, you can go to the justice of the peace, your rabbi, your pastor, your preacher, your minister, your local municipality, and just fill out the paperwork. But you legally have to get married if you want to have a symbolic wedding. Now, once you're married, if you want to do what I call the great fake out, don't tell any of your friends or family that you've gotten legally married in the United States or Canada, wherever you are from. So when they see you getting married at the resort, they'll think you're getting married legally in front of them. Now, as I said, it's much more flexible because you can go to the resort. Okay, so the resorts with a symbolic wedding will want you there 2 to 3 business days prior to your wedding date. Some will tell you a day before, but that's not for legal reasons. It's more for logistical reasons to review all the choices you made and go through the process with you. Now, the other thing is having a symbolic wedding being more flexible means you can actually custom create your ceremony. So let's say you don't want the resort to supply a minister or a justice of the peace or an officiant from the municipality or that country. You can have your brother-in-law, your friend, you can have anybody you want actually do it because, again, this is not legal, this is a symbolic event. The nice thing is, since you are picking who you want to do the event, you can write your vows. You do not have to follow the script that is required in a legal wedding. So you can bring your minister or somebody on a religious basis from where you live, that's fine. You can have a friend do it. And if you don't want to do that, you can have the resort supply someone. Most of the resorts in their wedding packages will provide someone to do a symbolic wedding for you. But again, they may have a script, but if you talk with them, because they don't have specific requirements, they will actually take the vows that you write, integrate them into it. They might want to say and review that with you, and you do have the flexibility to create your ceremony of your dreams for yourself right there and then. One of my other reasons I like symbolic weddings, and I think most people do them, is they're less expensive. Now you say, why? Well, I'm just talking about the ceremony here, so a couple reasons. Let's say you're getting married in Mexico, the Dominican Republic. If you had a legal wedding in those 2 places, or any country that does not speak English as their primary language, all of your documents will be in that local language. So then you will have to pay to have translation services done so you can bring that wedding paperwork back to your country. In this case, we're in the United States, and then prove that you are legally married in that country to meet the requirements of your home country. Those translation services can run from several $100s. I've seen some resorts that have a $900 or $1,000 fee to do all the paperwork. But again, having the symbolic wedding will be less expensive for the paperwork reason. It also is going to be less expensive because some destinations will require you to have blood work or have notarization of forms there. Those will all cost money. Another reason it's less expensive is that you will not have to be there as far in advance. As an example, some destinations will want you there 3 business days prior to your destination wedding date, ceremony date, in order to complete all the specific requirements. Now, the resorts do a great job of lining up all this paperwork and working with you to facilitate it. And some places like Jamaica, you can actually work with the resort to have most of that paperwork done prior to your arrival, but they're still going to want you there a day or two prior to your date. So you say to me, Jack, well, why is this less expensive? Well, look, I would love everybody to be at these resorts 7 or 8 or 9 nights, but if you have to be there extra nights prior to your guests, you have to pay to stay at the resort. So that's how you're going to save some money. Also, if you look at the resorts that advertise free wedding packages, they may have an asterisk that says symbolic, because any resort that does a legal wedding that I've seen does charge more for that wedding package, and that wedding package again will require someone else. They can't just provide you a staff member as an officiant. They're going to have to provide you someone that is authorized in that destination to do your wedding, typically a representative from a magistrate, a justice of the peace or something, and there is a charge for that, whether it's directly from the resort or from that third party. So you want to check on that. So again, number 2 reason for the destination wedding having symbolic being less expensive, I think that's a great reason. You can save some money and still have a great wedding. Now my 3rd reason is it is more customizable. As we talked about in the flexibility, a lot of times I'm hearing from brides and grooms that they have these ideas of how they want their ceremony. They may want it outdoor, they may want it indoor, they may want it on a rooftop, they may want it certain places. As an example, in certain destinations, let me give you an example in Mexico. If you want to get married by a Catholic priest, they only have specific places they will do weddings legally. You can't get married on a beach. It has to be in a sanctified church of the Catholic Archdiocese in that area. So when you're looking for the flexibility and customizability of your wedding, the symbolic wedding, again, as I said, will allow you to create your own vows. You can create your own process. We actually, several years ago in Jamaica, had an underwater wedding. Yeah, a scuba diver underwater wedding. You can do a snorkel wedding. We had a symbolic wedding where the bride and groom came up on the beach via jet skis. I don't think a justice of the peace would allow that and would stand in the water doing their vows. Now, when we talk about symbolic weddings, we can also lump in the term vow renewal. We have clients that say, look, I'm already married. We've been married for 10 years, or we're legally married, but we never had a big wedding back in the States, and we just want to renew our vows. The reality is a vow renewal and a symbolic wedding are almost the same thing. To the resorts, it doesn't matter. They will do a ceremony for you. You can have your parties, you can have rehearsal dinners, whatever you want. Again, the key for me in this video is just to outline to you that one of the first things you need to do when you're working with a wedding planner, your travel specialist, is you have to decide, is this a symbolic wedding or a legal wedding? And that will really help everybody understand what's happening for your wedding in terms of processing the application for the resort, because it's a question the planners always ask. So hopefully this information is helpful. Next week, I'm going to talk a little bit more about legal weddings and some of the requirements. So stay tuned, and hopefully I'll see you next week.